Coming up on this edition of Channel 8 News, the new Aggieville parking garage is causing headaches for the area's business employers. We'll hear from both sides. Plus, a source of food security for K-State students is getting a major upgrade thanks to a big donation and a grand opening for a place of worship in Manhattan. We will take a look at the new St. Isidore's Church. All of that is coming up.
Don't let that sun deceive you. It's currently 17 degrees outside, but with wind chills that make it feel below zero, the temperature isn't supposed to get above freezing today. But there's more to come on Channel 8 News.
This is KKSU-LD, covering Manhattan, Riley County, and the Flint Hills, broadcasting in high definition from Kansas State University. You're watching Channel 8 News.
Good morning and welcome back to Channel 8 News on this Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. I'm AJ Shaw. Coming up, we'll take a look at a recent NASA scientist who visited K-State. Plus, we'll be talking with local residents on how heating costs are burning through their wallets. But first, an update on the new parking fees in Aggieville. It's been almost 1 month since the new parking laws took effect in Aggieville, and employees of the business district are raising concerns. New guidelines require workers in Aggieville to purchase a parking pass to use the parking garage during their shifts. Workers aren't happy about having to pay it all. Channel 8 reporter Dawson Wagner has more.
Ever since the ribbon was cut to open the $17 million parking garage in Aggieville, 453 new parking stalls have been added for the public to use. The only problem? Aggieville employees like Riley Schubert, a waitress at Taco Lucha, are having to pay the cost for those parking spots with an Aggieville employee parking pass.
I think it's pretty messed up that just because I work at the Ville, I'd have to pay for that. I think employees should be exempt from that rule for sure because there is limited parking. It would definitely affect me with my shifts, and the income I make would have to be put back into the parking costs that I have to get to my job for.
Riley hasn't been alone in thinking that either. Dozens of employees spoke up at the City Commission meeting here at City Hall on February 7th.
I believe in growth and change, and I am excited to see what's to come, but I also believe in compromise and hearing all perspectives, especially those that matter the most in this city, which are those of small businesses. Thank you.
With over a dozen residents, employees, and former employees of Aggieville speaking on the issue, it left the city commissioners and Mayor Mark Haetzel with a need to get something on the agenda soon.
We're going to have to do something and chat about this some more. I don't know, something. Well, 6 months of free parking for Aggieville employees or something. We've already got all the equipment and people hired to enforce parking. We can't do anything tonight because it's not on the agenda and people haven't been noticed, and so we'll see about talking shortly.
So with no agenda set yet, employees like Riley are stuck with either choosing to walk or pay the fee for the pass to park in the garage.
Getting to my shift, I'd have to leave like 20 minutes earlier, which is a big inconvenience. And if I did want to park in the parking garage, I'd have to start paying. So I just don't really think it's fair for Aggieville employees to pay for that.
In Manhattan, I'm Dawson Wagner for Channel 8 News.
With companies like SpaceX constantly in the news and NASA planning on returning astronauts to the moon, interest in spaceflight has never been higher. But there are a few questions everyone wants to know. When are we going to Mars? And more importantly, how will we survive? Channel 8 reporter Chase Johnson has more.
5, 4, engine ignition, 2, 1, 0. Release. And liftoff.
Landing on Mars is no longer a question of if, but when. Scientists at NASA are hard at work finding new technologies and techniques to allow for long-term stay on another planet. But one important aspect of survival is often overlooked by the public, something we take for granted simply because there's so much of it. Soil.
Once we're there, we're not going to be able to supply them from Earth. So that means that if they're going to stay there very long, and particularly if they're going to be there permanently, they have to figure out a way to live off the land. And soils are going to be their key to doing that.
Doug Ming is a former NASA planetary scientist who spent his entire career figuring out how to grow plants on the International Space Station and Mars. But the soil on Mars is very different from that on Earth.
All it has is this surface that's been formed by volcanic processes. Now it's been reworked by maybe wind, maybe water, but it's all volcanic in nature.
The combination of being composed primarily of volcanic rock, along with the lack of plate tectonics on Mars, means that Martian soil is unable to be recycled and replenished with nutrients.
Soils on Mars, I think we can grow crops in. We can use that to sustain the crew, produce not only their food, but regenerate the air in their cabins or habitats where they can take the CO2 that is the waste of the humans and provide that oxygen back to the crew to help sustain their air.
While we still may be decades away from landing the first settlers on the Red Planet, just know that dirt, well, it's not something to be overlooked. In Manhattan, Chase Johnson, Channel 8 News.
NASA has pledged to put astronauts back on the moon within the next 5 years. Still to come on Channel 8 News, we'll take a new look at the newly renovated St. Isidore's Church in Manhattan. Plus, the rodeo was in town last week. We will hear from the rodeo director live in studio after this break. Kansas State College radio team held this year's first rodeo this past weekend at Weber Hall Arena. Here to talk more about the rodeo and the K-State rodeo team is Brianna Palmer with advisor and coach Casey Wynn. Brianna.
Thanks, AJ. This last weekend, students and families all came down to Weber Hall to enjoy the K-State Rodeo. Casey Wynn, advisor and coach, is with me today to talk more about the rodeo and the K-State Rodeo's team. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. And just to start right off, how did the rodeo go this past weekend?
It went really well. We had good weather and record crowds, and our team did well. We had one of our better rodeos as far as the team goes as well, so it was a great weekend.
That's great. And do you usually see a lot of like out-of-towners come for these events and stuff?
Yes, our region is all of Kansas and Oklahoma, so we had 436 contestants from those schools, and they originate from all over the country, even some students from other countries that come to colleges in Kansas and Oklahoma.
And how many rodeos do you guys typically have through the year? Is it just one usually and then several events after, or how does your guys' schedule work through the year?
We host one rodeo here, but our season is 10 rodeos. So we have 4 in the fall semester, 6 in the spring semester, and then the top 3 individuals and the top 2 teams from those will go to the college national finals.
All right, and how long have you been with K-State's team and club?
So this is my 8th year here as the rodeo coach and advisor.
All right, and what do you look forward to for this rest of the season, I guess?
We're excited. Our women's team has improved. We got a couple of girls that are in the top 10 in the breakaway roping, so we're looking to get a few of them qualified for the college national finals.
All righty. For more information about K-State's Rodeo Club, you can visit their website, and you can also contact advisor and coach Casey Wynn. Back to you, AJ.
Thanks, Brianna, and thanks for stopping by, Casey. Manhattan's very own St. Isidore's Catholic Church reopened its doors last month as they finished an over 4-year, $14 million renovation project. The church finished the third part of the renovations with the dedication of St. Isidore's new chapel on January 29th. Being 4 years in the making, many of K-State's own students have had the opportunity to participate in the planning and building of the new building. Current and student employee of the church and medieval architecture major Ridge Pinkston worked very closely with the building architect and is responsible for how the chapel looks today.
I kind of helped with the conceptualization and design phase of the project here. My major is medieval history, and we've spent a lot of time kind of studying medieval architecture, and I was able to apply the knowledge that I learned there to our project here. Been a member of St. Isidore's since I came to college 5 years ago. I kind of have a passion for church architecture, actually. If anything, it's just a hobby. And I happen to be lucky. I came to a community that's building a new church, and I was able to use that hobby to benefit the church in this way. And yeah, I just became very passionate about this project specifically.
Still to come, we'll take a look at the weather and why this winter has been so expensive to heat your home. And later, we'll check in with the K-State men's basketball team as they compete for the Big 12 regular season title. That's still to come on Channel 8 News. It's a chilly morning here in Manhattan on this Thursday. Channel 8 weather reporter Landon Platter has our forecast as well as why this winter has been an expensive one for homeowners in Manhattan.
With cold weather enduring into mid-February, many homeowners saw heating prices rise all across the area. Local residents feel blindsided by these new prices, while college students who are trying to find budget to fit the unexpected costs find it almost overwhelming. A local expert says that the best way to keep heating prices down is to make sure your house is retaining as much heat as possible.
My utilities go up like 20 bucks a month. That's $20 extra every month that I didn't really plan on spending just to live here. So I definitely have to be a lot more conscious of the money that I'm spending elsewhere so that I can make my utilities and make my rent every month.
Around your doors, around your windows, making sure those are sealed, caulked. I mean, if you put your hand next to your window frame and you feel a breeze, take a lighter, and if it flickers, you have air infiltration. Check your attic insulation. You lose a lot of heat out of your attic if it's not insulated properly. Make sure your doors and windows are shut and sealed. Make sure you have weather stripping around your doors and they're sealing tightly across the bottom. Those are the biggest things. Quality windows, good insulation.
And here's a look at our national weather radar. As you can see, the northern Midwest has been taken by this cold front that is moving in from Canada, and it has impacted not only the Dakotas, but plunging snow into the Minnesotas as well. And then as we look down into the southeastern corner of the United States as well, there's a heat front surging up from that Gulf Coast area that has taken over that by storm. As you can see, that hot front is also taking up the northern part of the eastern coast as well, hitting Albany and Indianapolis as well. And those negative temperatures are affecting in the Dakotas. Looking into Kansas, the Johnson County and Riley County areas are just above freezing, and that cold front that is sweeping down has taken over the northwestern part of the state, and that heat front from the south has taken over the southwest corner as well in the Garden City area. Moving on into the 24-hour forecast, it is sunny, but it is not warm. It is very cold today, and that will continue into tomorrow as the weather is just at freezing, mostly below for the most part, and it's cloudy as well. Looking into our 5-day forecast, it is cold for today and tomorrow, but moving into this weekend, expect a lot of clouds, but expect the heat to rise. And the sun will not prevail, but that doesn't mean you can't get outside and enjoy the weather. AJ, back to you.
Thanks, Landon. Sports is next. A referee shortage is affecting all levels of competition in Manhattan. We'll take a look at how bad the shortage is. Plus, a club with a lot of history on campus has seen a resurgence this year. We'll introduce you to the K-State lacrosse team coming up. The K-State men's team may have exceeded many expectations this year, but fans are still hoping for more success. Sports anchor Blake Crawford joins us with more. Blake.
Thanks, AJ. The K-State men's basketball team took down 9th-ranked Baylor in front of a packed-out Bramlage Coliseum 75-65 on Tuesday. Keontae Johnson led the way with 25 points, and Marquise Noel had 10 assists and 0 turnovers. Jerome Tang, in his first season with K-State, has beaten 7 AP Top 25 teams, a school record. Does he deserve to be the National Coach of the Year? Baylor head coach Scott Drew thinks he does.
Coach Tang should be National Coach of the Year, period. I mean, they had 2 players. They filled the whole roster. They're picked at the bottom. He'll get my vote, and that's not because he's my brother. He's earned it.
I hope that we have, because of the makeup of our staff and how we live life together and the example that we set for them, that our guys see that and they want to emulate it.
Officials are essential to the competitive integrity of a game, but a shortage in referees in Kansas could put that in jeopardy.
We've had to have unregistered officials work games, and we've got people filling in, working 5-6 nights a week, so it's definitely a problem.
Kansas is experiencing a shortage in referees for high school football and basketball games. Brady Trimble, a Kansas officials assigner, says unruly fans are one of the contributing factors to the shortage.
The main thing is young officials get started and they just get yelled at a few times, and that's not why they're there.
A lot of people struggle with that. At times that can be overwhelming. I definitely have had some struggles with that, but a lot of times kind of see it as like a growing challenge, like something I can learn how to communicate with people in tough situations.
George Ebert, who's in his 50th year of officiating, says the problem isn't recruiting officials, but retaining them.
I start about probably 5 to 10 young officials every year, and
my average of them continuing doing it is not very high. Very few stay with it.
An average new official only sticks with the game for 3 years. A lot of these ejections aren't even coming from new officials. They're coming from officials that have been doing it for a long time. So that's what tells me that people are just getting tired of it.
So what can be done to solve the problem? Ebert says schools need to recruit graduating students harder.
It's getting enough publicity now. About every high school needs to tell their graduating seniors to think about it, because most of them don't even ever consider it until a coach or an athletic director or someone in the community suggests it to them.
Luckily, no games have been canceled yet due to the referee shortage, but officials are still heavily recruiting.
The K-State men's lacrosse team will have their first home game this Saturday as they host Oklahoma State. The team has gone from 6 players on their roster to 30 in the past 6 months, and thanks to funding from the community, they hope that will translate to success on the field and one day make K-State lacrosse a Division I sport.
In the past 6 months exactly, we have actually increased our team roster from 6 to a 30-team roster. We've increased our following on social media by 107%, and we've also increased our funding by 720%.
We've talked about winning a championship. That's what our goal is. We're number 4 in the nation right now, and we're just ready to go get started.
That's all the time we have for sports. AJ, back to you.
Thanks, Blake, and good luck to the lacrosse team as they begin their season this Saturday. Up next, time to take to the ring, but it isn't people who are battling, but robots. We'll check out the BattleBots in action on K-State campus, coming up next on Channel 8 News. A brand new event came to Kansas State. The Robotics Club had a night of the BattleBots. Aaron McGill has more.
K-State Robotics Club hosted their very first ever Battle of the Little Apple. Members of the club split into groups, each showing off their very own custom-made robots to then put them up against each other and fight.
So today we put on our first ever Battle at the Little Apple. It's our combat robotics competition. You can see behind me is our combat cage that we had made specifically for this. It's reinforced steel to take our combat robots that are designed to destroy each other in an arena. And all new students just came in and made these.
Freshman Zach Canus is a member of one of the groups that worked on the robot Doomba. This was his first time ever competing in a competition like this, and he was just so excited just for the opportunity.
Every time we'd go into the cage, we'd come out with something else broken, and we'd do everything of our power in between rounds to fix it, just so we can get in the cage again and get in another fight. Because that's what this is all about, is just having fun and destroying other robots, even if the robot being destroyed is our own.
With a recent large increase in club members, club president and senior Alex Howard wanted to get more members involved and engaged. One way of doing this was in creating new events like the Battle of the Little Apple. Alex was very pleased on how well the event turned out.
I think the turnout was great. We had people lined up all up these stairs and over the balcony. We also saw some children here too, so some of the professors invited some of their children to come watch, and I think it's always exciting for kids to see stuff like this, robots, just how technology is changing like that and what they can do.
Even though Alex is a senior, he still has big ideas about the next steps of this new event and what they might be planning for the future.
My hope is that this competition can really grow into something that's a more regional type event, that we're getting people just outside of Kansas that are coming back here. But next year we're hoping to open it to the public, including any outside entries, and we're hoping to actually get some local high schools to come as well.
The BattleBots plan to return for the K-State Engineering Open House on April 1st, but they plan to grow even larger in the future. In Manhattan, I'm Aaron McGill, Channel 8 News.
Robotics clubs meet every Tuesday and Thursday during the week and are open to any major. Now, one more check with Landon to see what this wintry weather will be in our rearview mirror. Landon?
Thanks, AJ. Yeah, these next 3 days, it's supposed to actually warm up. It's not supposed to be as cold as it has been recently. It's supposed to get up to the 60s, 62 area right there on Sunday. And, you know, it's supposed to warm up this weekend, so if you want to go outside, this is definitely the time to do it. AJ, back to you.
And that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to join us next week for another edition of Channel 8 News. And that's the way it is for Thursday, February 23rd, 2023. From all of us here at Channel 8 News, I'm AJ Shaw. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
This is Channel 8 News.